Hey, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Strategy Game Podcast. I'm your host, Lauren Shippey. And today we have another word for you. And this is a series of words that I heard over a course of about 6 months very clearly. And whenever I heard them, I would just run to get paper and a pen or a note in my phone because I knew that if I didn't write it down, I wouldn't remember it. And I knew that these would be words that I would want to remember to go back to encourage myself and encourage others. So I hope you're enjoying this series. This one is called Hold Your Ground. That's the tagline. And I'm going to read the word to you, and then we're going to spend some time unpacking it. It says, there is ground that is yours for the taking, but you have to hold on. Don't rush the process. Be diligent, alert, and take steps with care. The who and the how matter in this season. Create rhythms that give you the space to examine what's happening in you and around you. Hold your ground. So, what does it look like for you? This is a question for you, to hold your ground in this season. It could look like maybe something of holding your ground in a relationship where you feel like you're constantly losing ground. It could look like holding ground in your business where you feel like you're losing market share. It could look like holding ground even with yourself or with your family if you feel like you're in a situation where you're losing the fight. I think it can look like a lot of different things, but take a minute and just ask yourself, what does it look like to hold your ground right now? What's being highlighted to you? And I would encourage you to just write it down, even if it's a word, a one word, or a phrase that comes to mind. Because the truth is that there is ground for the taking, but you have to hold on to it. If you give up things that you're not meant to give up, it directly intercepts your purpose and your calling in life, right? So that's why it's so important to not rush the process, right? There are times of acceleration in life where things will accelerate quickly for you and all the ducks will seem to just come in a row, right? Everything will line up. But there are also times, and this is more like the daily rhythm, that you have to be steady. You have to keep a steady presence and you have to steady yourself often and ground yourself and remember the ground that you have, the authority that you have to walk in who you are as a person, and your purpose in your life and in your business. And that requires you to be diligent. Diligence is not for the faint of heart. Diligence is something that, is cultivated. And I would just challenge you to ask yourself, what areas in life do you need to focus on being diligent, right? Because we can strive and we can run on the hamster wheel, which is something we always talk about at Storywork. And that can actually keep us from being diligent about the things we need to be diligent about or alert about, or so that we can take steps with care when it's time. So it's all about being intentional in your movement. It's about not rushing ahead and throwing spaghetti at the wall, so to speak, to see what sticks. It's about actually slowing yourself to figure out what ground is mine. What do I currently have under my authority in terms of family, friendships, business, passions, purpose? What is my ground? And what do I need to hold so that I can keep that ground and not give it up? So some things, obviously, we're supposed to release. And in the book, we talk about, the weeds in the way, like bitterness and unforgiveness and pride and, all those things. Those things we're supposed to release. But there are other things that are our ground that we are not supposed to release. We're supposed to hold it. So, for example, that would be for me, like my family, like my time with us as a family. We're all home on Fridays at this point. And so that's something that we've held right now. That's ground that we're holding. That's space that we're holding. It could be, the creation of this podcast, right? Don't stop speaking, is what I am hearing. And so that's ground that I'm holding. So I'm continuing, I'm being diligent in showing up. I'm being alert for things that could try to distract me or throw me off of holding that ground. So just be aware. You'll start to see this week, I bet, as you listen to this now, what your ground is and certain distractions coming your way, darts. Another thing is like, insecurities or things that can easily upset you or trigger you can get in the way to take ground, take you off your game. So it's really important that you align yourself with the who, like who is supposed to be around you, who encourages you to hold your ground, and how are you going to do it? What rhythms are you going to set in place so that you can make sure that you hold your ground? And this really gets to some habits. This is what we talked about in the strategy masterclass in part 1. I think that was part 1. And this is, James Clear, Atomic Habits. You guys have probably mostly all read that, but it's just about creating your rhythms in life. And so a rhythm for me that's pretty non-negotiable. Like obviously there are mornings when sometimes I'll sleep in, but during the week I'm usually up 5:30 to 6. And that is just time where I am just sitting and I'm listening and I'm being still and I'm hearing things and writing them down and reflecting. And so that time is a rhythm that keeps me on the track, right? It keeps me focused, and just making sure that there are certain rhythms that you want to keep in your life that keep you steady and keep you grounded, because our world is not going in a direction of steadiness and groundedness. If anything, it can feel like it's going the other way. But I want to encourage you that you can be a steady presence by learning how to hold your ground. So as always, hope this word encourages you. Thanks so much for listening in. And if you want more or have any questions, head to www.storywork.co.